Hey, what's up, guys? Josiah here with EasyCaters.com, and just doing an afternoon review. It's barely afternoon, 12:09 here in Nashville, Tennessee, where I live. Um, and I'm pretty much done for the day, so I wanted to run over some of the trades that I took today and some other setups that I saw later that I missed. And so I just thought I'd take a look at those with you today. And we will look at the daily setups tomorrow, probably in the morning. So IQ, the thing that I saw on this one was we had some pretty nice pullbacks here with signals right as we get back to these prior levels. So you can see here there's a volume signal that puts in the start of this move. We pull back just to that exact area, start putting in some volume there, put in volume here, and then break, pull back to that area again, break, and so forth. So now we're continuing that kind of gradual uptrend there on IQ. Some nice little volume signals there. I didn't take that one. C, this is one I saw and didn't take too. Saw later. So this one did a nice pullback. You could see that it was being absorbed. Shallow movement here, low range for the amount of shares that are being traded. So there's kind of turnover happening. And if you zoom down to the 5-minute, you can see the volume happened at the top, and then we kind of sold off, and then volume happened at the bottom, and then we took off again. So that's kind of how I like to see, that's the setup that I like to see. And extra points if there's also a prior level over here where this pullback comes down to, where you can see some additional volume back there. But this one got to 2 Rs, and then it pulled back off a little bit, and then continued back up to 4 Rs, and so we're still heading up. JD. So this was a good one on several time frames. So you can see we had an initial kind of thrust in the morning on the 20. Then we had an inside 20 with kind of some pullback movement going on, and then a break of that would be kind of this 1, 2, 3 setup. So that's on the 20-minute time frame. We had a nice high churn opening 30 as well, which broke, and it looks like it got to 2 Rs. But I think the best trade was on this 5-minute, which, so we had this high churn on the 5-minute here when we opened. And so you could have taken this because we had this high churn, less churn, churn comes back in again, and that's kind of what I like to see for a break. And so this broke, pulled back just a little bit, didn't stop you out, and then went to target here. But this one is the one I really like. I prefer pullback trades. And so this one pulled back directly to that volume level, put in another volume signal, and took off. And so it got to 2 Rs here, 4 Rs here, and 6 Rs here. So that was a really nice trade. Bank of America. So some of the banks were really moving today. This one had a couple of nice pullback trades, not really that fantastic. So Schwab, this is another one I took. So I took this on the 10-minute here, as you can see. And so this one just got to 2 Rs a little while ago, and right now I'm just kind of trailing to see if it's going to do anything else. And looks like it's kind of topping out up here and getting a little bit heavy, so we'll see. But so that one was a 2R trade. Just kind of my bread and butter pullback. That's what I like to see, the volume at the very bottom here. Then on to JP Morgan here. Yeah, this was a prettier setup. We had basically this level was put in here at 116, broke above it, and then pulled back down to it. This wasn't a volume signal on any of these time frames that I can tell, maybe on a smaller time frame, but we came back down to this prior level that we had just established, put in a volume signal. On the 10-minute, it looked nice to me, so I took that, and that got to 2 Rs. So that's a good one. Let's see here. This is one that I tried to take earlier and missed. So I run a Mac with both Windows and Mac OS on it, and so I've had trouble with my software recently. So I'm kind of playing with doing my trading on a second laptop and doing my charting on this this iMac that I have here. So anyway, so I was playing around with that and missed this trade trying to get my order entered in time. But so this one was really great, and it went straight to target almost immediately, and that's the kind of trades that we all like to get into. So that one went to 2 hours immediately. That would have just been a perfect painless trade if I had just gotten my order a little bit, got my order in a little bit quicker there. NBL, just some nice pullbacks here. You can see volume checked in here, and we traded below that and then put in a 5-minute volume bar here. And you can tell if you had just trailed a stop entry order, a stop market order to enter over the break of any of these bars, you would have finally gotten triggered in right there. And so that one would have pulled back to your entry level again there, gave you another opportunity, pulled back there, gave you another opportunity, and then there it goes. I didn't take that one, but that one was gave a nice signal that made sense to me. BB&T, another one of the banks, so a nice couple of pullbacks here. Pullback, kind of the volume signal comes in as we get back down to the bottom of this. You can kind of see better on the 5. That one, it didn't quite get to 2 hours on the first move, at least if you were on the 10-minute chart. But after pulling back, testing that same entry level again, it gave another signal exactly that entry level, and then it went on straight to target, and that one would have gotten to target as well. And looks like it's kind of working its way up. We'll see. It may have petered out for the day, but so that was BB&T. WFC. Again, a nice pullback there. This is picture perfect. Volume at the top, volume at the bottom. I guess it's actually not picture perfect because I like to see another volume level that we're retesting, but that's 2/3 of what I look for there at least. And that one worked really well. All these banks were doing really well today. WBA, nice little pullback on the 5. We had some a 1, 2, 3 kind of continuation pattern on the 30. There was several different ways to play this, and I always like to see multiple time frames stacking up, where when I get in on the early entry, it's probably going to trigger some higher time frame entries as well, so I'll know I get those additional traders in my favor, going in the same direction, and hopefully I just sneak in a little bit early for them before they do. So, but this one on the 15, it gave a nice inside bar here with a high volume churn signal, and that one had room back up to the high of the day, and then it just continued on up. MPC, nice pullback again. This one I wanted to say that, so we have a high churn indecision candle on the hourly, and I always like to see the high churn on the first bar on whatever time frame it is. The 30 looked good as well. The 20, we pulled back to the lows of this starting bar, initial bar of the day, and you can start to see on the 15 and on the 10 that at that level we started getting a volume signal, and that's where it took off from. So I like to see those where we put in kind of a range, an indecision range on high churn, and then volume steps up at one of the edges of that range, and if it breaks opposite, then you can get a good signal to go in that direction. Especially if you have any other kind of bias on the direction of the stock as well, that really helps. Then it had a nice pullback on the 5 and the 10 that gave you another opportunity to get long at the high of that opening range breakout. MGM, as soon as my platform catches up here, a nice little pullback trade. And it was testing a prior volume level. You can see it best on the 5 here, where there's volume here. This was the high of the opening range. Tested here, broke out, put in some volume at resistance, pulled back again, put in volume at that prior level, and then continued upward. And it was a really nice signal in the 15 there and the 20. As you can see there, there were a couple of different ways that you could have played that one. And you had plenty of time to get in it too, so those are always nice. This one had kind of a high-ish churn opening range bar, and then we broke, pulled back, and put in a even higher churn bar, and that is working really lovely. But on this 5-minute, you can see here, this was a nice break. We had a wide range 5-minute bar on high churn, then an inside 5-minute bar on high churn, giving you a better risk to reward ratio. And it's no accident. I think I've mentioned this before, that I always expect stocks to get to 1R, 1 times your risk, and the move usually tops out around 2 Rs. If it's a strong stock, then it can get up to 4 or 6 Rs. But you know, I never expect a unusual situation. I always trade for the usual situation, which is about 2 Rs for me. So there's lots of different ways to manage trades, but you know, you should expect some resistance at 1 times your risk, 2 times your risk, 4 times your risk, and so forth. So here is a great little pullback trade from a opening range churn situation. So we had this opening indecision candle on churn volume, and we broke to one direction and just barely got above the highs of that. Came back down to the middle, put in volume at the midpoint, and then broke again, and we're trending upward now. So, and there were several volume signals that would have given you a chance to get long on that as well. MRK, this is one I missed. MRK and what was the other one? I'm trying to think back from my morning. It's kind of confusing. So I can't even remember which other one it was. MRK was another one where I was trying to put an order in and didn't get it in time before it triggered, or else I think I did put the order in maybe, and then it skipped me or something like that. I can't remember. In either case, I missed out on this one, but this one was a pretty picture perfect one. Came back, you saw some volume coming in early, then it really started to compress and pick up volume here, and took off. Again, we get resistance at 1 R right here, like I mentioned, and then 2 Rs would have been the high of the day, and there would have been some churn on the lower time frame here, I'm sure, but eventually we broke through that, and we got up to 4 Rs right there. So that was a nice trade that I missed out on, and those just happened. ABBV, nice little opening range on the hourly and the 30. You can see the second 30-minute candle gave a nice better risk to reward kind of setup than the hourly did. So this is the second candle inside that hourly bar, and on the 20 it worked really well as well. And you could have traded this many ways, but you know, so you can see it on the 10 there and the 5, but it's cleanest up here on the 30 and the 20, I think. KHC, I think I saw a couple of nice pullback trades on this one that I had missed out on. This is not exactly what I would be looking for, but you know, as far as a daily chart look, but this one had a nice higher churn opening range, inside opening range, and so forth, and we had these nice volume signals down at the low of that range. So it was kind of a low risk, high reward type of situation. And so this one didn't work immediately, but it pulled back, gave another chance for entry, gave some more volume churn for for traders to pick it up, while obviously some were, and then went straight to 2 Rs right there at the top of the range, just above it. And so we'll see if it continues on further. So those are the signals I have today. I'm sure there were a lot more that I missed, but hopefully this is helpful, and we will talk to you tomorrow.